Take your seats. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Anthony Bowyer, and I work as Program Manager in the Europe and Asia Division here at the International Foundation for Electoral Systems. I would like to welcome those of you here in attendance today, as well as those watching via the live webcast for today's IFES event. Our discussion on Season of Change, Russia's recent elections, and their effect on democracy in Eurasia. Today's event is part of a series of discussions focusing on global elections and participatory democracy. IFES is hosting in conjunction with its 25th anniversary taking place this year. Over the last 25 years, IFES has worked in 133 countries worldwide and was active in Russia in the 1990s promoting electoral sector development through legal reform and institutional capacity building. For more on what IFES does, I would encourage you to visit our website at www.ifes.org. Our topic today, of course, is what to make of the recent Russian election cycle and its impact on political processes going forward inside Russia, as well as possibly on neighboring countries in Eurasia, also undertaking national elections in 2012. There are three issues I would like to offer up as points to be examined here today. The first is, what is the current anti-government movement and what does it represent in Russia? And are we not perhaps better off calling this a civil rights movement more than a political opposition per se? Nearly now 3 weeks after the presidential election, some have suggested that the movement is faltering from a lack of cohesion. Though, is its crystallization, which is buoyed by young people and the internet, not inevitable? And will a succession of local elections taking place this spring, including the Yaroslav mayoral runoff elections scheduled for April 1st, serve as lightning rods to slowly eat away at united Russia's control of the regions? Or will the authorities, in fact, find a way to co-opt this process? The second set of issues is what impact, if any, do the events inside Russia have outside of Russia, particularly on neighboring and nearby republics holding key elections in 2012. As we know, politics in the Russian Federation and in other post-Soviet countries are opaque more often than not, though what happens in Russia, and for better or for worse, relations with Russia, seem to have an outsized impact on internal events across the Eurasian landscape. Witness recent presidential elections in Kazakhstan and, of course, last October in the Kyrgyz Republic. Last but certainly not least is the U.S. relationship with Russia. As the United States is seemingly being cast as the benefactor of certain segments of what is referred to, perhaps clumsily, as the opposition, rightly or wrongly, does this in fact damage the leverage the U.S. has in encouraging democracy in Russia? And how can the U.S. in fact respond in order to promote an organic flowering of Russian democracy while still providing assistance to key stakeholders? In fact, do we need a resetting of the reset policy now that Mr. Putin is back in office? To address these questions, and undoubtedly more, we have assembled a most distinguished panel of scholars, and of course experts well known here in Washington and in many world capitals. I'll briefly introduce our guests in the order that they are speaking today. First to my left is Ambassador James Collins. Ambassador Collins serves as Director of the Russia and Eurasia Program at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace and was appointed the Director of the Russia and Eurasia Program in January of 2007. Mr. Collins served as U.S. Ambassador to the Russian Federation from 1997 to 2001, where he no doubt had a bird's eye view in the political transition from Boris Yeltsin to Vladimir Putin. At that time, the ambassador was instrumental in supporting the continuation of the IFES project in Russia as well. Next up is Wayne Mary. Mr. Mary is a senior fellow for Europe and Eurasia at the American Foreign Policy Council here in Washington. He is a widely published and frequent speaker on topics related to Russia and to other former Soviet states. In 26 years in the United States Foreign Service, He has worked as a diplomat and political analyst in numerous locations, including Moscow. And third, at the end of the table, is Thomas Melia, who will be serving as a special commentator today for our discussion. Mr. Melia currently serves as the Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor at the United States Department of State. He joined DRL last August, bringing with him more than 25 years of experience promoting democracy and human rights. And one note, Mr. Melia has informed me that he will need to leave early for a meeting up on the Hill prior to the end of our session today. Thus, I'll hold our speakers strictly to their allotted time in order that everybody has a chance to speak. As well, of course, we will be holding a question and answer session. I would ask that our audience hold your questions until each of our experts has spoken. We, of course, will also be taking questions online from those viewers watching through the webcast. Without further ado, let me turn the floor over to James Collins, Ambassador.